My cousin publicly shamed my autistic son at her engagement dinner, so we left. Then she sent social services to my door to try and get him taken away, not realizing how quickly a father's love and the truth can turn the tables. I knew it was a risk, but I said yes anyway. My name's Dan. I'm 39 years old, live in Colorado Springs, and I'm a single dad to the best kid I know, my 12-year-old son, Toby. He's got this sweet, curious soul, and he sees the world in ways that surprise me every single day. He's also autistic, diagnosed when he was 5. Moderate on the spectrum, verbal but sensitive to sounds, textures, and sudden changes. I've always been upfront about it with family, but that doesn't mean they always understand. So when we got the invitation to Karina's engagement dinner, I hesitated. She's my niece, technically my late sister's daughter, and she's always been a little high-strung. Think wine tasting, Pinterest perfect parties, and a fiancé with a trust fund. The event was formal, upscale, assigned seating, cocktail hour, and a dress code that made me wince just thinking about it. Still, Toby had overheard me talking about it, and his eyes lit up. Karina's getting married? He asked, bouncing slightly on his toes. Can I go? I crouched beside him. You really want to be there, bud? He nodded furiously, then started flapping his hands, his version of a happy dance. It hit me right in the heart. Okay, I said. We'll go. That week, I did everything I could to prepare him. We practiced formal dinner etiquette, role-played conversations, and even went shopping together for a nice shirt and slacks. Toby hated the stiff collar, but he endured it. Because he was excited. Genuinely excited. I thought it would be a good experience for him, for both of us. A chance to feel included. Normal, whatever that meant. We arrived a few minutes early to the event, hosted in one of those renovated mansions that looked like it belonged in a bridal magazine. Toby held my hand tightly as we walked in. His eyes scanned everything, wide with awe, the chandeliers, the flower arrangements, the polished silverware. He whispered, "It's so sparkly, Dad." I smiled. Sure is. Things were going fine, until Karina spotted us. She walked over in her sky-high heels and blinding smile, but when she got close, her expression changed. "Uncle Dan," she said, her tone brittle. "Why is Toby here?" I blinked. He was invited. She glanced at Toby, who was quietly rubbing his fingers together, clearly sensing something was off. "This is a formal event," she said sharply. "We can't have disruptions. There's an open bar. Live music. This isn't the right place for someone like him." People had turned to look. Some sipped their wine, pretending not to listen. Others watched with raised brows. I felt the heat rise in my face. "He's your cousin." "I didn't mean to offend you," she said in that tone people use right before they do just that. "But this night is important to me." I needed to go smoothly. A few murmurs of agreement. A shrug from her fiancé. A pitying glance from Karina's mother. Toby looked up at me, confused. "Dad?" I squeezed his shoulder gently. "We're gonna head out, okay, buddy?" He nodded, trusting me. We left quietly, and I held it together until we got to the car. That night, after tucking Toby in, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the floor. The rejection stung. But worse was the look on Toby's face when he realized something was wrong and didn't know why. I had tried to believe we belonged there. But Karina made it clear, we didn't. The actual engagement banquet was held a week later, black tie formal, downtown at an exclusive rooftop venue that probably charged more for appetizers than I made in a day. I went alone. Toby stayed home with Miss Green, his after-school aide who sometimes babysat when I had late work meetings. I didn't tell him exactly where I was going. Just said it was a dinner party that wouldn't be very fun. He had nodded, barely looking up from his drawing. He hadn't asked to come. That broke me a little. Karina greeted me at the entrance like nothing had happened. "Uncle Dan," she sang, air kissing near my cheek like we were at some Hollywood premiere. "Glad you could make it." I gave her a polite nod, swallowed every sharp word rising in my throat, and made my way to the bar. The room was a blur of polished suits and high heels, glittering jewelry, perfume strong enough to sting. Everyone looked perfect. Everyone acted perfect. And yet I couldn't stop thinking about Toby at home, probably building Lego towers in his pajamas while Ms. Green reminded him it was almost bedtime. Dinner started. Speeches followed. The maid of honor read a poem. Karina's fiancé gave a rambling, nervous speech about love and destiny. There was polite laughter, clinking glasses. Then Karina stood up and said, "We'd like to open the floor to anyone who wants to share a few words." My heart thudded. I rose from my seat, cleared my throat. The mic felt cold and too close. "I'll keep this short," I began. "Some of you may know me. I'm Dan, Karina's uncle. And I want to talk about someone who isn't here tonight." The room quieted. My son, Toby, was really looking forward to coming. He spent a week practicing how to fold a napkin and which fork to use. He was excited to wear a shirt with buttons, even though he hates buttons. But plans changed. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I asked Toby yesterday what he'd say to Karina if he got the chance. He didn't want to write it down, so he left a message instead. I hope that's okay. I tapped play. The audio filled the room. Hi, Karina, Toby's voice said, gentle and bright. I hope your party is fun. You look pretty in your pictures. I love you. Bye. Silence. Someone sniffled. A few others shifted in their seats. I looked up. Karina's face was blank, too still. Her fiancé rubbed her shoulder, but she didn't move. Thanks, I said, setting the mic down. A few guests clapped softly. A couple gave me a nod. Someone muttered, that was beautiful. I sat back down, and for the first time that night, I saw Karina's jaw tighten. She wasn't touched. She was furious. It happened the next morning. I was making Toby's lunch, peanut butter on toast, crust cut off, apple slices arranged like sun rays the way he liked. He was humming from the living room, lining up his dinosaur figurines in order of ferocity, which, to him, meant color brightness. Then came the knock. Sharp, repetitive, official. I opened the door and froze. Two people stood on the porch. A woman in slacks and a button blouse, holding a clipboard. A man beside her, younger, looking unsure. Both wore badges around their necks. Mr. Daniel Monroe? The woman asked. Yes. We're with Child Protective Services. We've received a report regarding the welfare of your son, Tobias. We'd like to come in and speak with you. I blinked. A report? From who? I'm not at liberty to disclose that. It's standard procedure. I stood frozen for a beat too long. Sir, she prompted, stepping forward. I moved aside, heartbeat spiking. Toby looked up as they entered. Hey, buddy, I said gently, just some visitors, okay? He nodded, then looked down again, rubbing the hem of his sleeve. The woman, Ms. Carla Anders, started asking questions in the kitchen while the man, who introduced himself as Joel, crouched down beside Toby and chatted softly. Can you walk me through your typical daily routine? Carla asked, flipping a page on her clipboard. I told her everything, our morning schedule, Toby's school and therapy schedule, his favorite foods, his nighttime rituals. She scribbled notes. And his bedroom? I led her down the hall. The moment she stepped in, I saw her expression change. He sleeps on a mattress on the floor? She asked, eyebrows raised. He used to fall out of bed a lot. This is safer for him. She made a note. And the plastic covers on the furniture? For sensory sensitivity. He's okay with smooth surfaces. Soft ones upset him. His therapist signed off on that. Another scribble. She opened the closet. Paused. Where are his coats? In the bin on the shelf, the hangers bother him. They get tangled and he gets upset. She didn't comment. Just kept writing. 20 minutes later, they stood by the door. We've made some observations that require follow-up, Carla said flatly. There are concerns about hygiene, safety, and appropriate furnishing. My stomach dropped. You think this is neglect? I didn't say that, she replied. But we are initiating an emergency protective action. Tobias will be placed in temporary care until a full evaluation is completed. I laughed sharp, incredulous. You're taking my son? Because I don't use coat hangers. There are multiple factors, she said. Toby stood by the hallway, clutching his stuffed manta ray. Dad? He asked. I crouched and looked him in the eyes, voice breaking. It's okay, Toby. You're going on a little visit. I'll be right behind you, okay? He blinked, uncertain. Are we in trouble? No, kiddo. Just a mistake. That's all. Joel helped him get his shoes on while Carla watched. As they drove away, I stood in the doorway until the taillights disappeared. I knew, deep down, this wasn't just a bureaucratic blunder. Someone had made this happen. And I already had a sick feeling I knew who. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I sat at the kitchen table, Toby's untouched toast still sitting on the counter, while his absence echoed through the walls. The house felt off without his chatter, his hums, his ritual pacing in the hall before bed. I stared at my phone, fingers trembling, and made the first call. Dr. Levinson, I said the moment he picked up. They took him. There was a pause. Dan? What happened? CPS showed up. Said they had a report. They walked around, took notes on the plastic covers, the mattress. They said it looked like neglect. They took Toby. Dr. Levinson's voice sharpened. That's absurd. His setup was based on my professional recommendations. I need help. Anything you can send. Notes, records, a statement. You'll have it within the hour, he said. Next was Caitlin, Toby's school counselor. She gasped when I told her. This doesn't even make sense. He's one of the most cared for kids I've ever worked with. Please, I said, I need you to say that out loud, in writing, and soon. I'm on it. I called a neighbor, Beth, whose daughter sometimes came over for playdates. She worked in social services before retiring. She was livid. They took him over furniture covers and a mattress on the floor, she snapped. That's not neglect, that's sensory accommodation. You're going to need a damn good lawyer. Know anyone? I know the best, she said, already pulling up her contacts. By noon, I was on the phone with a family attorney named Monica Hale, a sharp, no-nonsense woman who didn't waste time. Send me every piece of documentation you have. diagnosis reports, therapist statements, school records, photos of the home. The more, the better. She also asked, "Do you have any idea who might have reported you?" "I have a strong suspicion," I said. "Karina." Monica didn't even flinch. "Good. We'll keep that in our back pocket." Later that evening, I received a message from an unknown number. A text. I didn't know she would go that far. "I'm so sorry. Jason." I stared at it, heart pounding. "Jason, Karina's fiancé." I wrote back. "She made the call?" The typing bubble appeared, then stopped. Then came the reply. I didn't see the call, but she was bragging about keeping things under control the day after the dinner. She said, "At least he won't ruin the wedding." I put it together after the CPS visit. "I'm sorry." It was confirmation. Not ironclad legal proof, but enough to make everything make sense. Karina hadn't just shunned us from the dinner. She had orchestrated this. I saved the messages, took screenshots, forwarded everything to Monica. That night, the house was quiet. Too quiet. I stood outside Toby's door, stared at his empty bed on the floor, and made a silent promise. They took him from me based on lies. Now I was going to make the truth louder. The courthouse smelled like old carpet and recycled air. It was the kind of place where time moved slower, and everyone looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. I sat at the end of a long table next to Monica Hale, who was already shuffling documents and whispering strategy. She wore a gray blazer and a look that could melt steel. Across from us sat the CPS caseworker, Carla Anders, and her agency rep. 2 seats down, to my utter disbelief, sat Karina. Hair curled, blazer buttoned, expression polished, like she was testifying at a beauty pageant. Jason wasn't with her. The judge, a middle-aged man with a drooping mustache and tired eyes, opened the session. "This is an emergency custody review for the temporary removal of Tobias Monroe," he began. "Let's proceed with opening statements." Carla went first, rattling off phrases like potential risk indicators, non-standard sleeping conditions, and unclear boundaries around sensory-based accommodations. Then it was Monica's turn. She stood and began, "Your Honor, my client is a devoted, full-time single parent. The home setup has been approved by not one, but 2 pediatric specialists. We will present direct testimony from licensed professionals confirming that the child's environment is tailored for his neurological and sensory needs." The judge nodded. "Proceed." Dr. Levinson took the stand first. "The mattress on the floor is a safety measure. Toby has spatial disorientation when overstimulated. Elevated beds led to injuries. We chose the floor arrangement to minimize risk." "And the plastic covers?" Monica asked. "Texture aversion. Soft fabrics overwhelm him. Plastic is neutral. It's not only acceptable, it's preferred by many autistic children." Next came Caitlin, the school counselor. "Toby is emotionally secure, socially engaged at his own pace, and consistently clean and fed. Any report of neglect doesn't align with his behavior in school." Monica moved quickly. "Did you ever notice any signs of abuse or trauma?" "Never. He thrives with his father." Karina shifted in her seat. Monica raised her hand. "Your Honor, we request to call Karina Wright to the stand." Karina blinked. "Me." She was sworn in, clearly rattled. Monica approached the podium. "Ms. Wright, you're the complainant, correct?" I submitted a concern. "Yes." "Did you observe any direct neglect?" "No," she said slowly. "But I've always found Toby's setup concerning." "What are your qualifications in child psychology?" She bristled. "None." "Medical training?" "No." "You told your fiancé, Jason, correct? That this was a way to keep things under control, didn't you?" Karina's lips parted, but no sound came. "We have that statement in writing. Would you like to see the transcript?" I didn't mean she started. "Did you or did you not call CPS after the engagement dinner?" Karina hesitated. "I was just trying to protect our family's image. That dinner was important." "Objection," Carla muttered under her breath. "Withdrawn," Monica said with a smile. The judge cleared his throat. "That's enough. Ms. Wright, thank you. You may step down." The final witness was Dr. Gupta, a pediatrician Monica had consulted. I reviewed the home photographs and Toby's medical file. His care plan is not only acceptable, it's optimal. I see no grounds for concern. The judge leaned back and rubbed his chin. After a long pause, he spoke. "I see no evidence of endangerment. The emergency order is lifted. However, to ensure transition stability, I'm placing Tobias in temporary custody with his paternal grandmother for 72 hours, after which he will return home unless new evidence emerges." Monica nodded, satisfied. I exhaled, the first breath I'd taken in what felt like days. We were almost there. And Karina? She looked like a balloon slowly deflating, her perfect posture sagging as the truth settled in. The damage she tried to do wasn't just exposed. It was on the record now. I thought the courtroom would be the end of it. But people like Karina don't know how to lose quietly. Toby was still with my mom during the 72-hour window. She was loving but firm, no screen time before brushing teeth, broccoli with dinner, story time before bed. The kind of structure Toby liked. He called me on the second night just to tell me about a new comic he'd read with her. "I miss you, Dad," he said. "I miss you too, buddy. Just a little longer." But the peace didn't last. On the third morning, I got a knock at the door. Again. It wasn't CPS this time, it was a sheriff's deputy. "There's been another anonymous report," he said. "We're not here to remove the child, just conducting follow-up due to the previous case." "But Toby's not even here," I said. The deputy raised an eyebrow. "Exactly." They walked through again, took photos, asked questions. Same cycle, but this time with a little more skepticism. Less fire. That afternoon, Monica called me. "They've submitted 2 more complaints in 48 hours. One claimed you were psychologically unstable. The other mentioned unidentified men visiting your home late at night." She snorted, which sounds more like a bad thriller than a legitimate concern. "Karina?" I asked. "She's smarter than that. She's not using her name this time." I stared at my kitchen floor. The way the sunlight fell across Toby's toy bin. My chest ached. Monica continued. "We tracked the IP address from the original report. It was filed from an account tied to a man named Charles Wright, Karina's dad." Bingo. The next evening, I received another message from Jason. "Jason, she's using her father now. I warned her it was going too far. She won't listen. I'm sorry. I just thought you should know." Me. "Thanks. Are you still with her?" The typing bubble lingered for a full minute before disappearing. No reply. By the end of that week, CPS scheduled a new in-home evaluation. This time with a specialist, not a generalist like Carla. Her name was Dr. Andrea Rowe, and from the moment she stepped inside, I knew things were different. She didn't gawk at the furniture or flinch at the sensory lights I'd installed. Instead, she asked practical, informed questions about Toby's routines, his triggers, his preferred ways of self-soothing. She even complimented the laminated visual schedules on the wall. "You've done your homework," she said. "I've done more than that," I replied. "I've done my life." She smiled. "It shows." That night, I started a folder. Physical and digital. Every report, every call, every photo, every text from Jason. I labeled it, for Toby. This wasn't just about proving I was a fit parent anymore. It was about protecting us from people who wore family titles but acted like enemies. And this time, I was ready for whatever they threw next. Dr. Rowe's visit changed everything. She showed up at 9 on a Thursday morning, clipboard in hand, glasses perched low on her nose. But there was no judgment in her eyes, just curiosity and patience. The kind of quiet observation you can't fake. She walked through the house with me. I showed her Toby's bedroom, the mattress on the floor with soft edges and his weighted blanket neatly folded. His sensory corner, foam tiles, lava lamp, bins labeled with feelings. The kitchen chart with picture cards for meals, chores, and bedtime. She asked about food preferences, meltdowns, safety measures, communication tools. I answered everything. Not because I'd rehearsed, but because it was our life. Every inch of that house had been shaped around Toby, not out of obligation, but love. At the end, she smiled. "Mr. Monroe," she said, "this isn't just a home. It's a support system." She handed me a short summary on official letterhead. "You'll get the full report in 2 days, but I'm recommending immediate closure of the case." I thanked her, shaking her hand a little too hard, trying not to cry. When she left, I stood in the hallway for a full minute, just breathing. It was over. Later that day, Jason sent one last gift. It was a video clip. Grainy cell phone footage taken during Karina's bridal shower, held at a wine bar with flowers hanging from the ceiling and a charcuterie board the size of a door. Karina stood near the bar, drink in hand, laughing as she talked to 2 of her friends. "He just walked in with that weird kid," she was saying. Seriously, it was like a sitcom. I told them both to leave before he could ruin the night. One friend asked something off camera. Karina snorted. "No, but I made sure someone took care of it. He won't be dragging that behavior to my wedding. Trust me." That was it. But it was enough. I sent the clip to Monica. 10 minutes later, she replied, "Solid gold." The next day, CPS closed the case. The official letter used phrases like unfounded, adequate accommodations, and no further action required. It was dry and bureaucratic, but to me, it read like a victory song. Toby came home that evening. He walked in, dropped his backpack, and hugged me so tight I had to bend down to breathe. "Home feels good," he said. "Yeah," I whispered. "It really does." That night, after he fell asleep, I stayed up writing letters, one to Monica to begin filing a cease and desist against Karina and her father, another to Dr. Rowe thanking her for treating us like humans. Then I started on a third, to Toby. It wasn't fancy, just a few sentences on a notepad in my kitchen. "No matter what happens, I will always fight for you. Always." And this time, I meant it with everything I had. It was a Saturday afternoon when Karina showed up at my door. No warning, no call, Just the sound of her BMW pulling into my driveway like nothing had happened. She stepped out in a designer coat, her makeup smudged like she hadn't slept. She didn't look like herself, or maybe this was who she really was without the filters and the rehearsed smiles. I opened the door and didn't say a word. "Can I come in?" she asked, voice cracking. I leaned against the frame. "Why?" She looked down, twisting a ring on her finger. "Jason left me." I blinked. "That right?" She nodded, biting her lip like she was trying not to cry. "He said I went too far. That I ruined things." I raised an eyebrow. "He's not wrong." She glanced up, a shiny. "I didn't mean for it to get so bad, Dan. I was trying to keep things normal, controlled." "By reporting your own cousin to CPS?" I asked. She flinched. "You don't understand the pressure I was under." "I understand perfectly," I cut in. "You chose image over people. And you used a 12-year-old boy to do it." Just then, I heard footsteps behind me. Toby. He stepped into view, blinking up at her. "Hi, Karina." She froze. "Hey, Toby." He stood beside me, calm. Too calm. "You didn't want me at your party," he said. Not accusatory. Just matter of fact. "I was scared," she said weakly. "I thought it would be too much." He tilted his head. "Too much for who?" Karina opened her mouth, but nothing came out. "I was excited," Toby went on. "I practiced folding napkins. I learned the dinner rules. I was ready." He paused, then added, "You hurt my dad." A silence fell over the porch like a heavy blanket. Karina's lip trembled. "I didn't mean." "You made people come take me away," he said, quieter now. "That wasn't nice." She stepped forward, but Toby took a step back. "I'm not mad," he said, "but I don't want to play with you anymore." That did it. Her face crumpled. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know you'd talk like this." He nodded. "People change." Then he turned and walked back inside. Karina stood there frozen. I didn't say anything right away. I let the moment hang. "That was the kid you thought couldn't handle your dinner party," I finally said. "Turns out he handled this a hell of a lot better than most adults would." She swallowed hard. "Tell him I said sorry?" "You tell him yourself. But don't expect him to forget it." She gave a small nod and turned to go. As I closed the door, I found Toby sitting on the couch, hugging his stuffed manta ray. I sat beside him. That was brave. He leaned against me. "I just said the truth." I smiled, kissed the top of his head. "Yeah," I said. And the truth was enough. My mom was the one who called it. "We need to clear the air," she said over the phone. "No more silence. No more whispers. This family's gotten poisoned." I hesitated. "You sure you want to do this?" "I didn't raise you to let cowards win," she said, then added, "Besides, your sister's been quiet lately. I want the truth out, and I want it out in front of everyone." So, 2 Sundays later, we met at my uncle's house in Boulder. Big enough for everyone. Living room full of mismatched folding chairs, the fireplace cold, tension hot. My mom, my dad, Uncle Ray, and Aunt Linda. Karina's parents. A couple cousins. Jason even showed up and stood near the back, hands in his pockets. Karina was last to arrive. She walked in without making eye contact and took a seat near her mom, as low like she was expecting a firing squad. My mom stood up. "I'm going to say this once, and only once. Our family is broken because some of us decided to lie. Because someone thought it was okay to weaponize child services to keep up appearances." Silence. Then she looked directly at Karina. "That someone was you." Karina blinked. "I didn't." "Don't," my mom snapped. "You called CPS on your cousin because you didn't want him at your party. That's not just cruel, it's dangerous. He's a child." Karina's father, Charles, tried to cut in. "Let's not throw accusations." My dad spoke for the first time. "Don't, Charlie. We've seen the messages. We know what you did." "Jason showed me the video," I added, calm but firm. "He heard her brag about getting someone to take care of it. And the anonymous report came from your IP address." Karina's mouth opened and closed like she couldn't find the right words. Jason stepped forward. "I didn't come here to cause trouble," he said. But I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I loved Karina. I wanted a future with her. But the way she treated her own cousin, I couldn't be part of that. A gasp from the other side of the room. Aunt Linda put a hand over her mouth. "She lied to us," Jason continued. "She told everyone Dan was unfit, dangerous. I knew it wasn't true. I saw how he was with Toby. That's why I left." Karina was pale now. "It wasn't supposed to go that far." "But it did," I said. "You got him taken away. You made him question whether he belonged. You tried to erase him, and you tried to erase me." My cousin Natalie stood. "I remember when Toby was born. You were so proud, Dan. And I remember how you took care of him after Kate passed. You never asked for help. You just did it." She turned to Karina. "I can't believe you did this to your own family." More murmurs. "We're shifting." Lines were being drawn in real time. Then Charles stood, looking annoyed. "This is all getting blown out of proportion." "No," my mom said sharply. It's finally being seen for what it is. A few more people spoke up. My cousin Eli, Aunt Teresa, people who'd been quiet before. One by one, they backed away from Karina. Even her mom stayed silent, eyes on the floor. By the end, it was clear. Karina had burned her bridges, and no one was rushing to rebuild them. When it was over, people hugged me. They hugged Toby. They told him he was brave, that he was part of this family, that he always would be. Karina left without saying a word, and for the first time in years, I walked out of a family gathering with my head held high. Not ashamed, not bitter, just done with hiding. The funny thing about peace is you don't always recognize it at first. It's quiet, simple. It creeps in after the chaos dies down, after the courtrooms and confrontations and whispered apologies. It doesn't come with a parade or a dramatic moment. It comes in the form of a Sunday picnic at Palmer Park, folding chairs on the grass, paper plates stacked with potato salad and watermelon slices. Toby running through the open field with Natalie's twins, his arms flapping with joy, his laughter echoing under the open sky. That's what peace looked like. We were invited, this time, truly invited. My mom organized it as a kind of reset. Just family. The real kind. Toby was the first one out of the car, darting toward the playground in his new sneakers. He waved back at me, grinning so hard it made my chest hurt in the best way. I joined the others near the picnic tables. Uncle Ray was flipping burgers. Natalie brought cookies. Aunt Teresa handed me a lemonade and gave my shoulder a squeeze. He looks happy, she said, nodding toward Toby. He is, I replied. For the first time in a while, he really is. Later that afternoon, my mom pulled me aside and handed me a manila envelope. Inside was a signed agreement, formal, notarized. A cease and desist from Karina and her father. No contact. No interference. No more reports. They finally got the message, she said. I tucked it away in my bag. It didn't bring me joy, but it brought closure. I'm proud of you, she added. I nodded, still not fully trusting words from her, but grateful nonetheless. As the sun began to dip, I spotted Toby sitting cross-legged under a tree with Jason. Yes, Jason. He'd come too. Apparently, he'd stayed in touch with my mom, checking in on us. When he heard about the picnic, he asked if he could stop by. They were looking at a bug on the ground, Jason listening intently while Toby explained its defense mode. It was a roly-poly, curled into a ball. Like me when I don't want to talk, Toby said. Jason chuckled. Makes sense. I walked over and ruffled Toby's hair. Time to pack up, bud. He looked up. Can we come again? We sure can, I said. This is just the beginning. That night, back at home, Toby curled up on the couch with his manta ray and a bowl of popcorn. Today was a good day, he said. Yeah, I whispered, sitting beside him. It really was. No more threats. No more proving ourselves. Just normal. Our kind of normal. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like enough.